What's up, y'all? This is Julia Jessie with Clapback Culture, here to bring you another Thursday episode alongside my co-host, Mr. Mike Davis, with a special announcement. What's up, Mike?
Yes. Tonight, we are doing something special. So the show is going to be a little bit different. I'm actually going to step away to prepare because tonight at 8 p.m., we have a special edition of Writer's Block. We're going to dive into homelessness in Seattle, the politics of it through the lens of the encampment in the Bitter Lake neighborhood. So I'll be joined tonight by Erica Barnett. We have Hannah Scott, and we have Ari McKenna. And we are going to have a panel discussion from journalists that have actually covered the encampment. And we're going to do a deep dive of everything that goes along with that. So tonight, I'm going to step away. And we have a special co-host. So Clapback Culture is still going to be fun for y'all.
Yes. Well, good luck on your show tonight, Mike. And we will stay tuned after work or afterwards, after our show, to watch Writer's Block. So get to work, young bull.
Got you. All right. Well, have a good show, Julia.
All right. So, you guys, we have a special co-host. Can we bring in my queen of Converge, my good sis, Miss Besa Gordon?
Hey, guys.
Yes. Welcome to Clapback Culture. This is our first time hosting a show together. I'm so happy that you could fill in for Mike. This is a pleasure to have one of the queens of commentary and media, honey. If you guys don't follow her, please make sure to follow her on all her social media. She is hilarious and very talented.
Thank you. I'm not gonna front. One of the joys and pleasures of still working from home is I can do things like this. You know what I mean? I can work ahead a little bit, and then all of a sudden, I can do a little editing, and nobody will notice anything. Convenient.
Yeah, look, man, it's always good. It's always good. My office is actually talking about bringing in a hybrid schedule, so I'm still going to continue to work from home. So I ain't going back. Working from home is better.
Yeah, it's gotten better for me only because since I work in radio, everybody is so social there. So it's like, if I go in right now after not being there for so long, if I see someone, they want to talk for like 5-10 minutes. And it's like, okay, I came here to work and I'm not getting anything done. Not like I don't like my coworkers or anything. It's just you feel like you have to talk and you want to catch up. And it's like 2 hours go by and you've got nothing done. So whenever I do go in the office, I get most of my work done.
Such a good before point. I go in. I'm way more productive on my own time schedule, honey. So, but look, let's jump right into the show. You guys, thank you so much for tuning in again every Thursday. We appreciate you coming in. We have a full show for you. And of course, Besa is not going to hold back with her clapback. Hello. We are going to chat about Cat Williams speaking on cancel culture. That's a hot topic. We're going to talk about Senator Joe Manchin and his lack of vote for the People Act or to end a filibuster. We're going to talk about Governor Abbott again, honey. He signed the 1836 project into law on Monday. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about these Karens going in. I guess her husband was distracted by a Burger King employee for having a badonkadonk. We want to talk about that. That's going to be funny. Talking about that with Besa. Amazon is launching a sidewalk, which is a cause for privacy concerns. And billionaire Jeff Bezos makes the decision that he wants to go into space. So I guess if you got a lot of money, sis, you just gonna talk about. You gonna make a plan to go to space. I don't know.
I feel like there's some. Obviously we can get to this later, but I have some thoughts on that.
Well, save your thoughts. Let's talk about this Cat Williams story. So, did you watch the Joe Budden podcast, the segment with Cat Williams?
So I didn't watch the full thing, but I did watch the clip that you guys had, and I kind of agree with him in some ways, and in some ways I don't. But obviously, we're gonna get to that in a second.
So let's catch our audience up. So many people are asking if cancel culture will be the death of comedy, saying that woke millennials can't take a joke and are overly sensitive, which could be true or not true. We'll get into that. But a video this week of Cat Williams went viral, and he did a visit on Joe Budden's podcast. He was introducing his movie. After he was prompted with a question to discuss the relationship between cancel culture and comedy. And, you know, right now, comedians are being forced to reckon with old tweets. And, you know, considering if they're appropriate now in present day. So, Cuddy, let's go ahead and take a look.
If you ask all of the people that didn't make it to the NBA, if you ask them if we just lowered the goal down another foot, they all tell you they make it. Mm-hmm. Nobody likes the out of bounds, but the out of bounds gotta be there or you'll run up in the stands, right? Mm. So some of these things are for the benefit of everything. Nobody likes the speed limit, but it's necessary. Nobody likes the shoulder of the road, but it's there for a reason. Mm-hmm. My point is, people weren't all that extremely funny back when they could say whatever they wanted to say. At the end of the day, there's no cancel culture. Cancellation doesn't have its own culture. That was people of color. That was us policing our own culture. That was people without a voice being trashed by people just because they had a bigger name than them and more money than them and a better office than them. They could sweep them up under the rug like they didn't matter. I don't know what people we think got canceled that we wish we had back. I don't even know who are they. Mm. It's done for the reasons it's done for, and it helped who it helped. If all that's going to happen is we have to be more sensitive in the way that we talk, isn't that what we want anyway? I'm saying your job as a comedian is to please the most amount of people with your art. So if you want to offend somebody, nobody took those words away from you. Mm-hmm. Dirty bitch ain't been taken away. You can say that, but don't call somebody this word when you know this affects all of these people. Don't use the R word when you really mean people on the spectrum. Don't say this word instead of saying autistic. Don't say this word instead of saying little people. Look, if these are the confines that keep you from doing the craft God put you to, then it probably ain't for you. That's all.
Okay, interesting comments from Cat Williams. Besa, why don't you go ahead and weigh in on this? Is cancel culture taking away comedy?
I think that cancel culture is taking away a version of freedom of speech that used to be okay back in the day. And when I say okay, people would just be like, oh, you're sensitive. But now people are like, no, that's disrespectful. You can't say that. You should be fired from your job. Not saying that certain things that people say or do are okay. But, back when I watched some of Cat Williams' old comedies or even like Eddie Murphy's and Cedric the Entertainer, like they say things that you can't get away with saying these days. There are so many different comedies that are just now getting dug up out of nowhere. And it's like, nobody had a problem with this in 1998, but we have other people online that are now being introduced to this. And with social media, I think it's made it to where things are, and more opinions are able to go viral. Like you can have one tweet of, Cat Williams saying, poor little Tink Tink, and then get a whole bunch of his, endorsements taken away because that tweet went viral. And now this company has all this extra pressure. There are so many things that happen that people ignore until that pressure is put on whatever the entity is above them. Because Cat Williams, he works for himself. He doesn't care. He's like, you can't cancel me. I'm going to do whatever I want. But I do think that cancel culture is subjective because it's not like R. Kelly didn't get canceled. You know what? Let me not lie. R. Kelly got canceled publicly, but there's a lot of people that still listen to R. Kelly when no one is around. So I think when people do sometimes get canceled, it's more of a you're canceled publicly type of thing. It's more so of a I'm only going to say this at the kitchen table type of thing, but publicly I'm going to speak in a certain way that doesn't offend others.
Interesting take. I feel like when it comes to comedy, we have to walk a fine line, right? Because it is a joke. And I think, to go into and listen to stand-up comedy, there may be a chance that you get roasted. Okay. Right. Seth Rogen was quoted in an article where he said, if you said a bad joke, if you made a joke that aged terribly, accept it. If you don't think it aged terribly, then say that. There's a lot of comedians that are coming under scrutiny or, for previous tweets or things that they've said in their previous stand-ups, and they are being publicly shamed based on that messaging. So while I agree that there is a place for cancel culture, and I think that it's holding organizations and other entities to be more careful about what celebrities they put into their platforms. I think it's important that when we think about comedy, that we don't necessarily trample someone's art. However, I think it's also important to say what Cat Williams is mentioning is that if your art is to please other people and make them happy, they don't necessarily have to be the butt of your joke, right? There's so many things that you can talk about that are funny that don't necessarily marginalize a group of people and make them feel like they can't participate in the fun, right? Like homophobic jokes aren't that funny anymore, right? Like we're not talking about the gay cousin at the cookout anymore. We're mostly talking about but there's another way to spin that, right? And so I think it's pushing the creatives to get a little more creative in making things funny without making people feel like they're the butt of the joke.
It's like, I want to be able to laugh with you and not feel like you're necessarily laughing at me. When back in the day, it was okay to be laughed at. Like,
it would just you're going to get roasted. I mean, that's where cancel culture came from, right? Like, if you think about Black Twitter that's where cancel culture came from. It was Black Twitter. And really, it was about the art of getting dragged or something getting dragged, right? Like when we think about, the barbecue Patty or whatever her name was, like that's where cancel culture like really got its eruption from. But if you think about it, like, sis, we've been canceling stuff for a long time at the kitchen table and everything else. Like in Black culture, we will drag you and tell you like, oh nah, that ain't cute and that ain't right. But it's also a unique way to defend yourself, right? Like I know, to be able to read somebody, that's kind of like canceling too. But cancel culture has its place. If you ask me, like R. Kelly definitely needed to be canceled. And I think, Harvey Weinstein, like we're thinking of like individuals like that who have so much power, so much money, so much alliance that cancel culture is a non-traditional way for those marginalized voices to get justice.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you guys think of the comments?
Holding people accountable.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Thank you, Cuddy. John Jupiter, we used to get canceled for listening to rock. I guess I would say in what way? I don't know anything about that. And shout out to all of our loyal followers coming back in. Leon, Chip, I see y'all. Tracy, thanks for tuning in, y'all. Happy to have you here. Yeah, man, cancel culture is it's crazy. So I think we got to come up with more ways to make things funny without being like transphobic or
like
racist.
No lazy jokes is really what it is. Like no more lazy jokes. You know what I mean? Like I think Kevin Hart had that moment when he was calling his daughter a hoe, and everybody was pissed about that. But he thought it was funny. And in that moment, he realized that you can no longer make jokes like that. Like you can't do that and get away with that anymore. And that was his learning and his teaching moment, to where it's like, yeah, I can see why you would think that's funny when you're saying it with your friends, but on a stage, it's kind of a lazy joke.
Yeah, it's not cute. So, and shout out to Cat Williams for being so mature and like his growth level. Like, I didn't expect him to have that stance. Like, if you think about the days of pimping, child, I can't imagine Cat Williams coming out saying anything like he did. So he has a new movie coming out, Meet the Blacks 2. Y'all go check that out. I don't know the release date, but go ahead and Google that. That's what he was doing, promoting his show. So shout out to Cat Williams for being a legend in the game. Moving on, we are going to talk about Joe Manchin, and a huge blow to Democrats. They thought that they would pass this sweeping voting rights protection law, and they really needed West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin to support it, and he didn't. And he came out and said that he's going to oppose it. He's not going to vote for it, and he doesn't think it's a good look. But the For the People Act is there to ensure automatic and same-day voting registration. It places limits on gerrymandering and it will restore voting rights for felons. So I'm not sure why he doesn't want to vote on this.
Are you really not sure why?
Well, let's take a look and then you can clap back.
To get a number of bills to the floor for a vote, from the China-related research and technology bill to voter reform. But Republicans may cause a few roadblocks. Capitol Hill correspondent Eric Rosales reports.
What we've learned is not just Republicans who are putting up roadblocks, but West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin has dealt a major blow to progressive Democrats over the weekend. He decided he is not going to vote for S1, For the People Act. He says that he just cannot support it, and it's not the news that Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer wanted to hear.
At those caucus lunches, it was made clear how important S1 is to the country, to our Democratic majority, and to individual senators. And those discussions are ongoing, and I have a lot of faith in them.
That faith may be running thin after West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin wrote in an op-ed this weekend stating he will not support the voting reform bill S1 as it's written. He wrote, quote, "I believe that partisan voting legislation will destroy the already weakening binds of our democracy, and for that reason I will vote against the For the People Act." Fellow Democrats are pushing back.
I hope he reconsiders what his position is, because this is not about partisan advantage. This is fundamental to our democracy.
Well, Senator Manchin says he supports the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, a far less sweeping bill than the For the People Act. In the op-ed, he also emphasized his refusal to end the filibuster, a Senate rule which requires a 60-vote threshold to advance most legislation, writing, quote, "They've attempted to demonize the filibuster and conveniently ignore how it has been critical in protecting the rights of Democrats in the past. Republicans I spoke with applaud the West Virginia senator's actions in support of democracy, while Democrats are calling out their Democratic colleague."
Joe Manchin has become the new Mitch McConnell. And now Joe Manchin is doing everything in his power to stop democracy and to stop our work for the people, the work that the people sent us here to do.
Joe Manchin, can we cancel you, bro? He's ridiculous. This is not about bipartisanship, okay? This is about pushing through legislation that's going to support people so that voting rights are being restored. I mean, we're actively watching Republicans dismantle voting rights as we speak. I mean, we talk about it almost every single week on this show. All of the states that are rolling back efforts for people to vote. So I stand with Chuck Schumer on this one. He needs to go back to the table and revisit this, and cancel culture should really take his behind down. What you think?
I'm with you. I'm with Tracy. She said he needs to be canceled. And here's my thing. If you're a Democrat senator, and you don't want to vote for this, what is your reason for not wanting to vote for this besides potentially being worried about losing a certain amount of power, because that's what it seems like to me. If obviously this is going to be something that will restore a whole bunch of voting rights, the only reason why I could think that you would say this is not a good idea is because you're worried about people being able to vote that won't agree with you. It seems really, really Republican to me. And it almost makes me wonder if like people are in his ear in the back end, if like maybe there's something sneaky going on that we don't know about, because that just sounds crazy to me. Like, why wouldn't you want for things to be fair? And why wouldn't you want for more Americans to be able to vote? If more people are able to vote in a way that actually makes sense, like, you know, not having to wait in line for 7 to 10 hours, that makes it to where more Americans are going to be happy with what's going on, because the vote makes more sense. It's not like a selective little group of people are doing all the decision making. Everybody is making the decision. So to me, the only reason why he wouldn't want to vote for that is because he's worried about some power being taken away. And it almost seems like one of those things where it's like, I'm a Democrat, but not a Democrat for you.
Yeah, I mean, this bill is essential to counter efforts by Republicans in state government to restrict access to the ballot and to make it easy to overturn election results. So this is it's critical, and it's critical that he gets on board and gets on board now. You know, he talked about not wanting to support this bill because he wants to keep filibustering, but filibustering is the same issue as to why just last month that blocked the establishment of an independent commission to investigate the attack on the Capitol. So there's a lot of things in here that we have to consider. And I think if his only or his lack of vote is because of partisanship, I think he's got it all wrong. You know, he said I believe that partisan voting legislation will destroy the already weakening binds of our democracy. Blah, blah, blah. And if I can't go home and explain it, I can't vote for it. Yeah, okay. If you can't go home and explain it and you can't vote for it, you know, and you don't like the bill as it's written, why don't you rewrite the legislation to make something that makes sense rather than just saying, I'm going to vote against it? Why don't you go back to the table and sit with your Democratic colleagues and say, hey guys, I think we should change this to be this and this. Or why don't you just get on board with your party? Because guess what? The Republicans aren't sitting around waiting for you to rally around them. Donald Trump is about to pull up in no time. Okay. And we have zero time to waste. These voting rights are being rolled back state by state by state. And we do need this for the People Act.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, there's no reason for him to not do it besides having someone in his ear or not wanting to lose the control. Like you said with the filibuster, if he can't do that, obviously he's going to fill away. So to me, it just really seems like it's a whole matter of control for him, because this is not a good look for you, sir.
Yeah, it's not. So I wanted to pull up his voting record. I wanted to see how he voted historically. I couldn't find it right away, but if anybody finds that, DM me. I want to see this guy's voting history. I want to see what type of I just want to see that voting record. Well, we're going to move on to something else that's going crazy. Governor Abbott again in Texas, child. If you come to our show long enough, sis, you are going to see that we talk about Abbott all the day is long. Basically, progressives have responded with disgust on Monday after Texas Governor Greg Abbott signed a law establishing the so-called 1836 project, honey. And it's a hot mess. It's said that it's around to promote patriotic education and ensure future generations understand Texas values. Although Mexico abolished slavery in 1829, its government continued to allow U.S. settlers to bring enslaved people into the country. So this promotion of patriotic education is weird because it starts out in 1836, but yet slavery is still going on. So let's go ahead. Let's take a look. Let's see what Governor Abbott has up his sleeve. He signed this into law. Let's see what's going on.
To keep Texas the best state in the United States of America, we must never forget why Texas became so exceptional in the first place. A law creating the 1836 Project does that. The 1836 Project promotes patriotic education about Texas and ensures that the generations to come understand Texas values. Under this law, every newcomer to Texas who gets a driver's license will also get a pamphlet that outlines Texas's rich history, as well as the principles that make Texas, Texas. The law also establishes the gubernatorial 1836 award to recognize students' knowledge of the founding documents about Texas history. I want to thank Representative Tam Parker for his leadership on this, as well as Representative Serrier, Representative Toth, Representative White, as well as all the members of the Texas House and Senate. Project 1836 is now law in the great state of Texas.
Who was that dude that was smiling like that? Like the smile was creepy.
Who asked, was he a cardboard cutout? Sis, exactly. I feel like he is a cardboard cutout of Donald Trump. I mean, the antics of these press conferences that we see, everybody all tight in the frame. It's just crazy. I found a tweet that okay, so hold on, y'all. Let's do a quick history lesson so we can understand why this is even important to clap back around.
Run those facts, sis.
Here, let me run down the facts. I'm going to go through my notes. So Mexico and Texas were all the same place. Mexico abolished slavery in 1829. The government continued to allow U.S. settlers to bring enslaved people into their country. Now, U.S. immigrants began to outnumber the non-indigenous population. So Texas was like, nah, we got to assert some control. Okay, that included the prohibition of slavery. So then, boom, a war broke out. So between 1835 and 1836, the U.S. settlers revolted and basically, and by 1836 had created an independent slaveholding republic, i.e. Texas. So that's how it all started. Texas broke off from Mexico. They made their own thing because they wanted to keep slaves.
Mm-hmm.
So you're creating Project 1836 to talk about establishing your independence from Mexico, which is, I think the war is the Alamo. But you could have moved up to 1865 and talked about the importance of Juneteenth, a holiday celebrated on June 19th to commemorate the emancipation of enslaved people in the United States. But that was first celebrated in Texas. You missed the mark. So why are we going back to 1836 when we can empower 1865? I don't get it. I don't.
Not only did he miss the mark, he missed the mark about 2 weeks before Juneteenth. So it almost seems like he did it on purpose to me.
Sis.
I just find it. I find it so interesting that he's like, oh my God, we're going to talk about our rich history. And honestly, I just want to see these pamphlets. Like, I really want for someone to take a picture of that pamphlet and let me see exactly what is in there, because it's so easy to just put out the warm and fuzzy things of your history and what makes you guys so great. But from what you just said, there's not too much great right there. And there's not that much great right about now when you got these Texas freezes going on. And what was that? Like the senator went to like Cancun or something. So I just feel like Texas and what they focus on is just all wishy-washy and it doesn't make any sense. I also don't understand how they keep voting these same people in, but I digress. That is why I still live in Washington State. So, I think at the end of the day, I really just want to see what's in there, because I have a feeling it's going to be something a little more like how, when you have Black history in public schools and you're like, you are missing a whole lot.
I mean, this missed the mark in a major way. I wish Omari was on because he's a great historian. He could clap back at this better than probably both of us. But y'all get the point. I mean, go on Twitter, just hashtag Project 1836. Governor Abbott and just the whole state of Texas should be canceled immediately, expeditiously. This is ridiculous. I don't know why you're hosting a press conference to talk about pamphlets that are going to be given out when people get their driver's license. And meanwhile, you're rolling back people's ability to vote. So Texas is a hot mess. And you're right. I mean, we're 9 days from Juneteenth, and this is what you feel like you want to roll out. Like, I'm not shocked or surprised. I'm just disgusted. So girl, like you say, no tea, no shade, but cancel again. Okay.
And that's why I stay in my little buttons, yeah, because I'm like, what? And you guys are not rioting over this? Because before we even change subjects, I've seen somewhere that they have like a full-on history class in Texas when you're in like 7th grade. So it was like their history class that they have to take. The book is bigger than U.S. history. So it's like, yeah, sir, you really missed the mark. Matter of fact, you didn't even try. I don't even think you cared about the mark.
That's a good point, Besa. It is mandatory in their state in 7th grade that they have to take Texas history. Yeehaw. Well, look, guys, we are going to close and take a quick break. But when we come back, Besa and I are going to turn it up and talk some tea, okay, on some of the stuff that's on the internet. We'll be right back.
I know that's right.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.
All right, y'all. Welcome back to Clapback Culture. It's such a pleasure to have you here, Miss Besa Gordon, in the house, honey. And I've been waiting to get to this part in the show, sis. Something interesting that was found on TikTok, a TikTok poster or a user, I don't know what you guys call yourselves. I don't use TikTok yet.
TikTokers.
A TikToker posted that a Karen was complaining about her uniform, her Burger King uniform, and that her husband was distracted. We'll have a lot to clap back on. I want to get your thoughts. Let's take a look.
I had a lady complain today because my uniform was a distraction to her husband.
Gotta learn the dances. You gotta learn the dances.
Okay. I'm like, what? Am I doing it right? Okay. We want to do a TikTok. That'll be cute. It's gonna take me a long time to get the moves.
Get you some wine and then you loosen up. You be like, okay.
Okay. I did the.
Yeah, that one didn't work for me. My body don't work good for that one. Okay. But I can sway a little bit.
So speaking of body, my good sis has a good one on the back there. And Happy was distracted. She didn't post the Karen. She didn't post the actual Karen, but this topic has come up on social media quite often, where people are complaining about women who have big behinds and it being a distraction, or like their dress, their uniform is inappropriate. What's your take, considering you're a woman of curves?
It's so annoying. Let me tell you something. It is not my fault that my family is from My mom was born in Seattle, but my grandma's from Arkansas. My dad's from Louisiana. My grandfather's from Texas. It's not my fault that I got all of this. So that's number one. Number two, the uniform is the uniform. So if Lil Becky Sue over here puts on the same uniform that fits her that I put on, and I just happen to be a little curvaceous, that's not my fault. With all due respect, obviously your husband has roaming eyes for a different type of junior whopper, good ma'am and good sir. She came in there for ice cream and he came in there for buns. And that's not my good sis's fault. It's also not my good sis's fault when they are in school and then someone is like, is this appropriate? And she's wearing jeans and a t-shirt, or she's wearing a long maxi dress. It is not my fault that you are built like SpongeBob. It's really, really not. And I should not have to come out the house in a potato sack to make your husband and his roaming bunny eyes comfortable, let alone yourself comfortable. Because obviously, I'm pretty sure the husband enjoyed his food.
Listen, I couldn't have said it better myself. You said he came in for ice cream, he came in for buns. I agree. You know, it's unfortunate that women who are curvaceous feel like they need to dumb down their shape or hide their shape to make outfits look appropriate in different environments. Now, with that being said, Besa, I posed this question to you. You can bring her back in, Cuddy. I pose this question to you. Do you think it's important to dress because you know you have a shape? Do you ever make a decision to wear something like, okay, I'm not going to wear the bodycon dress because I know I know it's going to turn too many heads. So instead I might wear these joggers or a flowy skirt so that I ain't breaking too many necks when I go in here.
Sometimes I do that, like, you know, I live downtown on South Lake Union. So if I'm leaving the house at night and I'm by myself, yeah, I might wear something a little more chill, Bill, so that way someone doesn't try to snatch me from around the corner. But otherwise, no. I used to. If I'm keeping it a whole buck, yes. You know, working in corporate America, there was a point where I really like dumbed down my outfits and I would wear things a little bit looser because I didn't want to distract people. But after a while, I was like, this is not my fault. And I have a cute outfit that I would like to wear to work. And if you can't fix your eyes, then maybe you need to have a talk with HR. That's not my problem.
Yeah. You know, unfortunately, I still fall victim to, I sometimes won't wear things because I'm like, I know it's going to cause too much attention. Sure. Like, even if it's not tight, I'm just like, people are going to be too attracted to me if I put that on. It's going to draw too much attention and I don't even want that. But it's not because I feel like it's inappropriate. There's a girl I work with and she's very curvy. She's real cute. And she's got really cool style. I hate that she always gets pulled into the supervisor's office because her butt is big and they always tell her that her stuff is like deemed inappropriate because of her shape. But if I wear a little dress to work because I'm not as curvaceous, I pull it off a little bit better and it doesn't look so inappropriate. But
I really feel like that goes in with sexualizing African American women and our bodies. And that's why I'm like, it's not my fault that you are attracted to my body. Like it's really, really not. Like I can't help that. I literally one time left the house with no makeup on. My wig was damn near lopsided, and I still had some dude run across the damn street when all I was trying to do was go to Walgreens. Like I can't help that. And for me, it's really annoying especially when you work in corporate America and it's like me and Kimmy over here can have the same damn uniform on, but because she don't got no hips and she has, you know, a flat chest, it looks more appropriate on her than it does on me. That's not my fault. We're just built differently. And you can't, you know, pull me aside because I have curves. First of all, people pay for these curves.
Hello.
Second of all, I worked out in the gym for this booty to look like this, okay? I don't feel like changing my entire outfit. I feel like it's one thing if I'm going to work and I have like a low cut shirt on, which technically I could do since I work in radio, but I don't necessarily do that. You know, at the most I'm wearing like my little biker shorts, you know, like a long sleeve shirt, which is still curvy in itself.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm not coming in inappropriate. And those are still moments where I'm walking down the hall and different, people come in for meetings and they're looking at my butt and I'm like, ciao, bye. And you know what I mean? Like, I just got to the point where I had to just ignore it because I want to take cute pictures at work too.
Listen, you guys know I'm recently on my weight loss journey. I lost about 40 pounds. So sis got her body back, body with the WDY, honey. And like I'm looking better in my clothes, but you know what it is, sis? It's not even the body, it's the confidence when you put your clothes on. Like, my clothes don't wear me. I wear my clothes. And so when I put my looks and stuff together, it's naturally going to draw a little bit more attention because I know how to dress. I got style. You see me. But that, that can make people feel uncomfortable. But to this young girl, the uniform is the uniform, baby girl. There ain't nothing you can put on to cover up that backside, honey. And guess what? A person like me, I love to see it. Leave it out. If I had a donkey, please believe it would be out and about all the day as long. I mean, you can never have enough booty for me. Like, I just think the derriere is the best part of the shape, honey. So the bigger the better.
I'm not gonna walk around with big pants just to make you comfortable. I'm just not. Now I'm uncomfortable because I don't feel confident in my outfit because you feel less than because maybe my body is the one that you want. Like, Karen, go get some shots.
No, not just, go get that BBL, Karen. It's down.
The tops are bad. BBL. Yeah. BBL.
You got a big booty, so you don't even know what the new thing in the industry is. You're not even looking. You're not even.
I just want like
this. Just sit, look. I do about 100 squats a day. Okay, like I'm working hard for that Burger King bun. Okay.
I'm over here just eating fries.
Speaking of walking outside, Amazon is launching a sidewalk program, which is going to tap into people's Wi-Fi, and its launch is really causing concern for privacy. Let's go ahead and take a look.
Amazon is launching new technology that the company hopes will enhance the performance of some of its devices. The service, known as Amazon Sidewalk, is already raising concerns with privacy advocates. CBS's Nichelle Medina has more.
Alexa. If you own certain Alexa-enabled Echo devices or some Ring camera models, Amazon will soon be able to use part of your home's Wi-Fi to create a new network called Amazon Sidewalk.
Amazon Sidewalk is a ad hoc mesh network that takes advantage of your Amazon smart devices.
CBS News tech reporter Dan Patterson says the new service takes a small sliver of Wi-Fi at homes with certain Amazon products to create a shared network within neighborhoods. The so-called Sidewalk Bridge allows devices with spotty Wi-Fi to stay connected. The wireless network would also work with tile trackers, which can be used to locate lost items like keys or pets. Amazon says Sidewalk is designed with multiple layers of privacy and security, and Sidewalk Bridge owners do not receive any information about devices owned by others connected to Sidewalk.
The amount of network that they say that they are going to be using is both very low bandwidth and relatively small.
John Callis from the Electronic Frontier Foundation believes the network won't affect Wi-Fi speeds, but he has concerns because users are automatically enrolled. Ashkan Saltani, former chief technologist at the Federal Trade Commission, has the same concerns.
People pay a service fee to their cable provider or their cell phone provider, for these services, right? So for Amazon to help themselves to that bandwidth, it's pretty questionable, I think.
People who want to opt out of the shared network can go into their Ring or Amazon app and turn it off. Nichelle Medina, CBS News, Los Angeles.
That's rude.
Isn't it? Amazon, you think you're going to help yourself to my Wi-Fi? No, you're not.
I pay good money for my Wi-Fi to be able to do my radio show at home. So let me get this straight, because you decided to, and I'm not going to say any, Wi-Fi companies, because you never know who might try to sponsor me in the future, child. But you decided to get some cheap rinky-dink Wi-Fi, and because your Wi-Fi is spotty, you're going to leech onto my Wi-Fi while also taking bits of my information. I'm going to need a lower cable bill. Like, if that's the case, we need community Wi-Fi. Like, that sounds crazy to me. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if that is going down the pipeline. I wouldn't be surprised if they are working on something to where it's like, hey, you live in, like for me, I live in a big old apartment building, right? Okay, you don't want to pay full, internet. We're going to put you on a shared Wi-Fi system with 10 other people in your building, and you guys will all share the bill. I really would not be shocked if this is the beginning of something like that. And the simple fact that it's making it to where you're auto-enrolled. And I saw that you really only had until today to unenroll. Otherwise, it's just like something floating in the ether. So I really feel like this is like something sinister going on. There's like a lot of sinister thing going on around here. And I don't like that.
I think I'm with this guy, John Callis, who is just saying it's just a bit rude that I don't get to I'd rather opt in than opt out. And can we put up Chip's comment? Thank you, Chip. As a tech expert, this is somewhat fake news. This will actually benefit us. But yeah, just like AT&T and Comcast, you have no choice but to give up a tiny bit of network. Now, I agree with you, Chip. It almost, Amazon, I just feel, is like pushing it to the limit. They just continue to push us over and over and just take a little bit by little bit. Now, I'm not a fan of Alexa. I'm not a fan of I'm a fan of like cameras, but I'm not gonna I just don't want anybody to be able to like tap into my stuff. But again, are we too late? Like, are we really still considering that privacy laws are protecting us? I think at this point in the digital age, nothing is safe. Nothing is our own. If you want to be private, don't use the internet. Don't use technology whatsoever. But yeah, I mean, if Amazon is going to go ahead and tap in and use a little bit of Wi-Fi or any other cable company, let's just keep that same energy with my bill. Like, internet is so expensive. If we can reimagine what my internet bill looks like, I'm with that. Like, I'll opt into that. You can automatically enroll me into that.
Yeah, and honestly, this is very on brand for Amazon, because isn't Amazon the company that's making it to where at certain Whole Foods you can pay for your stuff with your hand? Like, you can literally take your hand. Like, if you go to the Whole Foods right by my house, as soon as you walk in, there's a little kiosk, and then there's a woman. It's always this woman with a little ponytail, and it's like dirty blonde. I see her every single time I go in there, and they have their mask on, and they allow you to sign up to be able to pay for your groceries with the palm, real sci-fi like.
I'm not ready for the.
But now it's your whole hand, or they have they're making it to where at some point you might not need your ID anymore because you'll be able to use your phone as your ID. Like, so I'm like, there's these little things like this. It just gets us used to what's really happening, because by the time it happens, like, we're already here.
We're already here. It's already happening, and there's no way to combat it. Leon, respect, brother. We on the same page. It's not a big change. Like, it's already happening, to your point, Besa. This is just get comfortable. Just relax, put your feet up. Amazon is being courteous by letting you know they're tapping into a little bit of your Wi-Fi and they're using it. So I think whether you opt in or opt out, it probably doesn't matter, because they've already tested it, sis. And guess what? I'm sure people aren't going to figure out how to opt out. Like, are you really going to take the time to go read the fine print to opt out? Probably not. I'm not.
I didn't.
I mean, I don't know. It's
because they're going to find another way to take it anyway. So I'm just like, you know what?
Chip said Bionic Woman, Q theme music remix. Facts. Oh man. Mama Harriet, God gave me a good computer. It's my brain. Amen.
Oh, that's right.
Amen. And you know what? These computers are shutting us down to where we're not reading any more books. So that's terrible. Let's do our last topic is on former CEO Jeff Bezos. The man got so much dough cheese. His company is tapping into our Wi-Fi. Meanwhile, he wants to go to space with all his good money. Let's go ahead and take a look.
Breaking news we told you about. Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos announcing this morning that he is going to space He's not going alone. He's taking his brother with him. They're going to take off next month. TJ Holmes has that for us.
Robin, everybody's trying to get out this summer. Take a trip. Everybody's planning vacation. When you're a billionaire, though, just going to the Bahamas again just doesn't do it for you. So let's go to space. That's what Jeff Bezos is going to do. He's going to be aboard this New Shepard capsule. This is a part of his company, the Blue Origin company, his space tourism company he's been working on for the past decade. It's going to take 6 people up. He announced this morning he is going to be one of them. Take a listen.
If you see the Earth from space, it changes you. It changes your relationship with this planet, with humanity. It's one Earth. I want to go on this flight because it's a thing I've wanted to do all my life. It's an adventure. It's a big deal for me.
It is a big deal, guys. And again, this is a capsule that's going to take 6 people up. That was the plan. They've actually been bidding, had an auction for 1 seat. It's up to $2.8 million. For that 1 seat somebody has bid on to be on board. Didn't know that Jeff Bezos was going to be sitting next to him. Now, this thing, if you can make it out here, it has these huge windows here. Each person gets their own seat with their own window that they'll be able to look out when they go up. Now, how long is Jeff Bezos going to be gone? So you all remember when you said Good Morning America at 7 a.m.? Yeah. If he'd have left then, he'd be back already. The trip is only 11 minutes. It goes up. You get about 3 minutes of weightlessness just at the edge of space. Comes back down. You're back.
He's making others pay.
Ciao.
11 minutes? Shut up.
Would you go? Would you go?
I don't know if I'd want to go with Jeff Bezos.
That's who you probably want to go with is Jeff Bezos. Imagine you get to take a flight with Jeff Bezos to space.
Oh my God, I'd have so many questions. That 3 minutes, it would be loaded with questions. But no, I want to go because I want to see what's out there. And I feel like there is a reason for why all these billionaires and CEOs are stepping down and now they're trying to go into outer space. They're flying, they're putting robots up there. They're just sending all type. They sent somebody from Seattle to outer space recently. So with them making this so much of a normal thing, to me, I feel like, what do you guys know that we don't know? Because there's a lot of interesting things going on to where now all of a sudden you're like, hey, let's go up to space. When before it was like, this is not a thing that we would normally do.
Rado said 11 minutes isn't enough. I'm telling you, I'm not going. Okay. Don't ask me. Do not ask me to go. I'm not going. I love Michael Strahan in that clip. If you guys go back and watch the clip, you just see him and the rest of everybody. It's like, this is a taboo subject for Black people. Like, we're not going to space, y'all. Like that, it's just not happening. No tea, no shade. That's not happening. We're not sitting around supporting 11 minutes in space. 2.8 million. I'm thinking about, this is just, bruh.
It's the things that we put our money into while we still have people in Flint with jacked up water.
That part. How about just that part?
I was going to say more, but we can start there.
Let's just get into your philanthropy.
California gets some rain. You know, there's just a lot of things, or even in Miami. Apparently in Miami, someone bought up some trailer parks down there because, like the moratorium is like going up in a lot of places. So somebody bought up a bunch of trailer parks that had a lot of people that were low income living in there, and they have to be moved out pretty soon. I just feel like when people are like, oh yeah, we're going to spend such and such billion dollars to go into space. Obviously, it's not my job to tell you how to use your money, but I can't help but once again be like, Flint still does not have clean water.
And to Leon's point, Bezos could take care of both. You could take care of water in Flint and then go to space. I think, Bezos was talking about an article that I read that, he wanted to go up there because he, was interested to think about the earth in a different way when he comes back. He's like, after you go and do that, it's life-changing X, Y, and Z. And I understand that point. Maybe when he comes down from his 11-minute flight and he sees the earth in all of its glory, he's going to come back and save the earth. I don't know, but it's not for me, sis. I'm good off that, actually. I'll sit back and watch, someone cue the reality TV show. I'll definitely sit back on my couch with my popcorn and tea and watch it, but I'm not going to space. I don't even want to go on a roller coaster. So I'm good. I'm just not the level of anxiety that just surrounds. I don't need to know the world in that.
Well, it's like to exit and then come back within 11 minutes when it's like, wasn't there a point when it took like months to get to space?
Listen, sis, I'm nervous watching space 7 minutes. I'm nervous watching space movies. I'm not watching that. It's too much. It's like I grew up on X-Files. It's a lot going on in the universe, son. I'm not. Anything could happen, and can't nobody get to me. I'm good. I'm good. Dora, that's your popcorn and your tea too, sis. Listen. Go ahead, Jeff.
Let us know how it is, because they can't leave the rocket. They're literally just going up there, floating around for a second.
Man, I'm just good. Some of y'all feel like it's a nice day. I feel you, Leon. Going to space sounds nice, and one day it will be like flying on a plane. Yeah, that's the reality of the situation. One day we're gonna grow up, and people are going to be able to take flights to space. The owner of Tesla, he talked about that. What's his name? Munskin, the other billionaire. These 1%ers, man. They got a lot of time on their hands.
I feel like by then I might be more okay with it. But right now, I just don't like being the guinea pig.
Well, we will wrap this up. No space travel for you or me today. But if you're not traveling in space, where can they find you, Besa?
If you turn on KUBE 93 right now, I'm on till midnight. You can find me on social media at Besa Gordon, BesaGordon. And Saturday, I will be back for Rewind with Besa at 2 p.m. Special guest should be Seattle's Travis Thompson, who I played, I want to say, last week on KUBE.
That's awesome and amazing. Well, look, y'all, make sure you hang back for another hour of Writer's Block. My co-host Mike Davis will be there talking about the politics of homelessness in Seattle. So make sure you stick around to support that show. You know where to find me on Instagram and Twitter at Treasure of JULES. It's been a pleasure as always. Thank you for tuning in to Clapback Culture. We'll see you next Thursday. Peace.
Bye.